Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Mate of the Forbidden Alpha. Episode 3. James Clara. I roared. What do you think you're doing? She looked up at me innocently, her eyes wide with fear. You told me to act like we were in a relationship. I thought that you would want me to do something like this, to make sure that she stays away from you. I felt like ripping out my whole head. I wanted to be angry at her, but I knew that I was the one who'd even suggested it in the first place. I was stupid, Clara. I was stupid when I asked you to do that for me. I should have never done that. I explained. Eden needs me. She needs me more than ever now, and I'm going to make her remember me, remember everything. Just forget I ever suggested something so stupid. It was a mistake. She frowned. Are you sure that's such a good idea? I know it is. I said. Now please, don't do something like this again. Eden is your future Luna, treat her like that all of the time. She didn't look happy, but she nodded her head in understanding. Yes, Alpha, I'm sorry. I shook my head. It's my fault for suggesting it in the first place. Before Clara could respond, I was racing through the woods. Eden couldn't have gotten far, even if she did reach as far as the jeep. She couldn't leave, for I had the keys. I found her just inches away from the vehicle and called out to her. She stiffened but kept on walking despite my calls. I quickened my pace and pulled her towards me so that she was now pressed up against my chest. Please hear me out. I begged as I searched her eyes. The look on her face completely scarred me, and I knew that I would remember this moment for years to come. Her eyes narrowed. There is nothing you can say that would make this better. Just let me explain. Please. She pushed against my chest angrily. Explain what, James? She demanded. Do you even know how hard it is for me to see you with another woman? Do you know how much I hate it? Do you even know? Yet you play with my feelings all along and completely lead me on. Her words made me feel a lot guiltier than before. I know. I know I'm stupid, Eden. I admitted. Believe me, I know. But it isn't the way that it seems. Just let me explain everything to you. I would never lead you on. Please trust me. It's too late. She snapped as she pushed away from me and started walking in the opposite direction. I watched her go, my mind and heart racing. No. 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 What had I done? Eden. I kept on walking towards the jeep, ignoring his calls. I'd totally forgotten about that woman. Were they together? How did she even know that we were here? I couldn't get her words out of my head, and no matter how much I wanted to turn and demand an answer from James, I still kept on walking. He'd broken my trust, and now I didn't know who or what to believe. I should have never trusted my heart. Look where it got me. I felt a warm hand on my shoulder as James spun me around to face him once more. I couldn't keep it together, I couldn't even look him in his eyes. I was hurt and angry, and all of my negative emotions were directed straight at him. Please. He begged. Just listen to what I have to say. I crossed my arms and glared at him. Something about the way he was looking at me and the desperation in his voice made me stop despite my mind telling me to keep going. At least he couldn't say that I didn't give him a chance to explain himself. Clara and I are not together. She's just part of my pack. His words caught me off guard. I stared at him. Pack? What on earth was that supposed to mean? He groaned and buried his face in his hands. That's not important. What is important is that you know that Clara and I aren't together and never were. He wasn't making any sense whatsoever. I'd clearly heard her say that they were together. Was he trying to say that it was all just a lie? So then why did you show up to the club with her holding onto you like that? I demanded. And why did she call you her boyfriend? I don't think someone is that insane to do something like that without it actually being true. His eyes looked sad and broken as he faced me. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted that. All I wanted was to keep you safe. You said that already. I pointed out. But yet you wouldn't tell me what I'm supposed to be kept safe from. Eden, he whispered. Before you lost your memory. We were together. Not in a relationship, but we were here, right next to the jeep. I knew that our lives were in danger every single time we were in each other's presence, but I totally ignored that fact. I wanted you so badly that all I wanted was to hold you in my arms and keep you there. But I was given a rude awakening when you were harmed right here because of me. Because of my selfishness, you were hurt, and this is exactly where you lost your memories. You're in this mess just because of me. My brows furrowed. I lost my memory here? I asked. I don't understand why us being together would put my life in danger. I don't know how to tell you the truth. I don't want to overwhelm you. That's the reason why I asked Clara to pretend to be in a relationship with me. That was the only way to stop you from asking me any questions, and I thought that I was doing the right thing in order to protect you. I frowned. I felt more anger flow into my body at his confession. He did this purposely? Purposely? All of this time he was hurting me, and he knew that he was doing it all along? I couldn't believe this. I'd been in so much pain emotionally, thinking that he wanted nothing to do with me and everything to do with her. Now I was being told that it was all intentional. Even if any of this is true, why did you think that it was a good idea to be with another woman in front of me? I demanded. According to you, we both have strong feelings for each other, and this was all before I lost my memory. Then why, after knowing that I feel something for you, will you do something so horrible to me? After everything you could have done for me after I lost my memory, you chose to pretend to be in a relationship with another woman, and you did all of that right in front of me, knowing fully well that it would only hurt me. Eden, how could you? I demanded. How could you possibly think that seeing you with her would be the best thing for me? Do you even know how difficult it was for me to see that? You made me think that I was crazy for feeling like I knew you, and now you're telling me that it was all intentional. I didn't think it was possible that someone could look as devastated as he looked after hearing what I had to say. Good. He needed to feel what I felt, and it still wouldn't be the same. It was hard to see him like this, however. I didn't understand any of this. Why did it hurt me so much to see him in so much pain? I barely knew anything about him. I couldn't remember much, all I knew was that we were definitely here already. The memories were broken, but they were definitely still there. I'm so sorry, Eden, he apologized. So sorry. It's too late, James. I snapped. Just please take me home, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to be next to you. It hurts too much. He looked conflicted as he slowly nodded his head and opened the door for me. I was glad that he finally decided to let me go. I couldn't be near him right now, it just reminded me of what he'd done. I needed to speak to my sisters. It was time I knew the whole truth. James, I roared as I slammed my fist against a tree. I couldn't get the hurt on her face out of my head. I grabbed a handful of hair and pulled hard. What had I done? I'd just gotten Eden home and needed to get out in order to clear my head. I didn't want anyone to see me like this. I'd already caused enough trouble for everyone in my life, including the person that meant the world to me. I never hated myself more than I did right now. What did I do? How did I manage to hurt the one woman I wanted to protect more than anything in this entire world? How? I didn't think words could hurt as much as it did today. I wanted to take her in my arms so badly, there was so much I wanted to say. I wasn't about to let her go like this. I had to try again. I needed to tell her the whole truth, maybe then she would be willing to give me another chance. I stormed back into the palace, passing my brothers on the way. Everyone was looking at me with a worried look on their face, but I wasn't concerned with any of that. I needed to see Eden. I knocked on her door as soon as I reached her room. From the moment she saw me standing in front of her, she moved to shut the door once more. I pushed it open and stood in front of her. "We need to talk." "What more do you want to say?" she demanded. I winced at the look on her face. "You're the only one for me, Eden. You're made just for me. I can't function without you by my side, you seem to function pretty well with Clara." "Eden," I said. "Listen to me, she means nothing to me. Not in that way at least. I made a wrong decision. Believe me, I know that I did and I regret it so much. But please, don't separate us because of it." She crossed her arms over her chest and stared pointedly at me. "I want to know why you keep saying that my life is in danger because we are together." I sighed. I didn't want to tell her this. I didn't want her to worry, not like this. "You're clearly not ready to tell me the truth," she snapped. "So please, get out of my room. You are engaged to someone else. The council, it's where you're from. They're forcing you to marry him. Your life is in danger and it's because of me." Her eyes widened and I wasn't sure whether she believed me or not. After what I'd done, I didn't think she would listen to a single word I told her. "I don't understand," she whispered. "If there is a man that's supposedly causing all of this trouble for us, then where is he? If he's the reason why we can't stay together, then where is he?" "Right here." I stiffened. I knew that voice. "Hunter." "Eden, what are you doing here, Hunter?" James growled. His hands were knotted into fists and his eyes were blazing as he faced the strange man. I'd seen James angry and uncomfortable before, but I had to admit that this time seemed to be a lot more serious than any of my past experiences. I didn't know what was happening. Our new guest had this scary look about him. He was definitely handsome, but the coldness in his eyes made him hard to look at. He had the type of look that could scar anyone if he tried hard enough. Despite all of that, there was this unusual calm composure about him. He looked like he was good at masking his emotions whenever he wanted to. How could he be this calm while James looked like he was about to explode with anger? I suddenly remembered what he'd said to catch our attention. He'd claimed to be the man James was telling me about. The one I was supposed to get married to. According to James, he was also the one responsible for putting both of our lives in danger whenever we chose to be together. I didn't find it so hard to believe now. Hunter looked like he was capable of doing those unspeakable things. Was this emotionless, cold man really my fiancé? A haze of fear clouded my vision at that sudden conclusion. I was terrified. I didn't want him to be. I couldn't imagine living with someone that looked as heartless as he did. He wasn't looking at me though, and I was grateful for that. I didn't want to be the one under his harsh gaze. Instead, it was directed straight at James. I didn't know how neither man flinched from the intensity of their gazes. I should ask you why you're both in the same room together. I expected you to learn from the last incident. Hunter finally answered. I felt a chill down my spine at his deep voice. Even that proved to be just as scary. James's shoulders tensed as he took a step closer to Hunter. For some reason, seeing them this close to each other made me feel extremely uneasy. It was like my body was telling me to separate them as soon as possible. I winced as I felt a wave of nausea followed by an image of James and Hunter, one I was sure I hadn't witnessed recently. Was it a memory? What are you doing here? James demanded again, bringing my attention back to the both of them. I'm here to take Eden back to the council. Hunter answered without so much as a blink of the eye. A low menacing growl was coming from James's mouth and I took a step back in fear. Over my dead body? James roared. I held in a cry at his words and took another step backwards. My eyes widened as he lunged for Hunter's throat. Everything happened so fast that it took my mind a while to catch up with it. A scream left my mouth as they both broke through the barrier and fell to the bottom floor. I stood in shock for a few seconds just staring at the broken barrier. Did I just witness the both of them fall from the top floor? I felt my body begin to shake as the reality of the situation finally sunk in. James! I screamed. I couldn't believe what I'd just seen. This had to be a crazy dream. Before I could stop myself, I was racing down the stairs. My heart threatened to burst free as I rushed to them. Oh, please let James be okay. So many thoughts traveled through my mind one after the next. I didn't think anyone could survive a fall like that. My fear doubled at that thought. I spun in all directions, searching for them. My eyes widened at the broken vase on the ground as well as the rest of broken furniture scattered throughout the once neat palace. I followed the sound of the commotion and ran in its direction. When I finally reached them, they were both being separated by Austin and Lucas. I stood there in shock for a few seconds, my mind trying to wrap itself around everything. How was it that neither one of them had a single scratch on their body? I forgot about that question as I saw James try to lunge for Hunter again. If it wasn't for Austin still holding on to him, another fight would have broken out. I threw myself between the two men, facing James. Please stop. I begged him. I don't like this. I didn't want to see him get hurt. I didn't want to see anyone get hurt. His gaze softened at my plea and I could sense that he was a lot calmer than before. You're coming with me. Hunter informed me. I forced myself to turn to him, not happy with what I was hearing. The wedding date has moved up to this week. It's 2 days away. James growled once more, and this time both Lucas and Austin had to hold him down to prevent him from lunging for Hunter's throat once more. What was happening? How did neither man have a scratch on their skin after such a long fall? I still couldn't wrap my mind around that. There was something really wrong here, something that everyone was refusing to tell me. We're werewolves, Hunter said as if reading my mind. The entire room grew quiet at his words. Werewolves? Why did that term seem so familiar to me? And why was I not freaking out more about all of this? It was like my body already knew it all, it was almost as though it was sort of prepared to hear it. I felt my head begin to spin as my heart rate increased dramatically. What are you doing? Isabella demanded. You know that this isn't good for her. She shouted as she raised her hands to hit him. Hunter gripped both of her hands roughly in his so that they stopped right above his chest. Your family knew what they were getting themselves into when they joined the council. You can't be upset with me for something that you already knew was coming. The wedding is in 2 days, your sister must know about everything now or she'll be completely lost back at the council. He said smoothly. Besides, I've spoken to your father. He agrees that Eden may have a better chance at remembering her life if she was back home. How dare, if there is anyone that you should be angry with, it's your father, he's the one that joined the council. Your family made their choice and now these are the consequences. Hunter cut her off. It looked like they were both having a staring contest with each other. I didn't understand how Isabella could just stand there so close to him, how did he not freak her out as well? I couldn't believe any of this. His words should have affected me but they didn't. This was absurd since I didn't even know about this council he kept on talking about. What scared me more than anything else was the fact that I already knew that something like this would happen. After the way everyone had acted whenever I wanted to find out the truth, I just knew that whatever it was that they were keeping from me, it had to be this bad. But still, this was insane. Everything was complicated and messed up in this entire family and I couldn't believe I was a part of it all. Isabella was glaring at Hunter and his eyes were directly on her, his hands still holding onto hers right above his chest. I watched as she angrily pulled away from him. He didn't look happy about it but he returned his attention to me when he spoke again. Let's go. I'll never let you have Eden. James growled behind of me. I closed my eyes and listened to the heavy sound of his breathing. The memory of him falling from the top floor was still fresh in my head and I never wanted to see something like that again. I knew now that he was the man that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with despite what he'd done to me in the past. There was this strong pull and I couldn't escape from it. But I also understood the dangers of us being together now. I wanted to remember every little detail I could about him. It was important to me, after all, I knew what must be done. I had to listen to Hunter, had to give him what he wanted. He didn't look like he was here to discuss anything, he was here to take me and judging by his actions, he was not leaving without me. I thought you might say that. Hunter said with a knowing look. But you might want to take a look outside. Austin and Lucas gave each other guarded looks. With their hands still holding onto James, they all walked outside with my sisters and I closely behind. At first, I saw nothing out of the ordinary. But when I looked far enough, it was then that I saw something I hadn't been expecting. Something scary, something that made me want to run and hide. There were hundreds of men just outside the palace's gates. They were all dressed in black and had weapons strapped all around them. There was this dangerous look to each of them. They definitely didn't come here for any games. They were ready for a war, and so was Hunter. I could hear Lucy's gasp as well as Maya's. "I've had enough games," Hunter told us. "It's either we settle this now or Eden comes with me easily." "Never, I'll come," I said, not giving James a chance to say anything else that could put him or his family in danger because of me. James looked at me in shock. "Eden," he whispered. "What are you doing?" I faced him, hiding the brokenness inside of me. If he was about to believe my words, I needed to sound as heartless as I possibly could. "You had your chance, James, and you wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. Instead you decided to pretend to be with that Clara girl in front of me, all of that just to get me to stay away from you. Well, now you're getting your wish. I'm leaving and you won't have to see me again." Even though I was angry at James after what he'd done, I didn't mean every single word I'd just spoken. I realized the gravity of the situation, and if everything James had told me was true, this was the best thing to do in order to protect the people that I cared about. I was not prepared for the look of betrayal that crossed his face as soon as the words slipped out of my mouth. I had to fight the tears that threatened to fall. I needed to remind myself that this was for the people that I loved. I turned away from James and focused on the rest of my family as well as his. I couldn't look at him, not when he had that expression on his face. I said goodbye to each of them, one by one. I understood why everyone had chosen to hide everything from me. How would anyone ever believe something like this without actually seeing it? "We will be there for the wedding, Eden," Lucy promised me. I forced a smile on my face. "Thank you for everything, I'm lucky to have family like you." Her eyes shone brightly with unshed tears as she buried her face against Austin's chest. I turned to Isabella, trying my best not to look at James. If I did, I wouldn't be able to hold on to the little self-control I had left. "Are you coming as well?" She nodded and took my hand in hers. "I'll always be by your side, remember?" I gave a small nod and we both turned to Hunter. "Eden!" I heard James shout. I closed my eyes and kept on walking. It was the most difficult thing I ever had to do, especially after hearing the agony in his voice. "Eden, don't do this!" I could hear his roars as I went into the waiting vehicle. When I was safely tucked in, I looked out the window and felt a tear roll down my cheek. There were multiple men holding onto James now. I didn't even know where they came from. But even though I couldn't hear his roars anymore, I still saw the way he fought to get to me. I closed my eyes. It was difficult to see James in any sort of pain. I leaned back against the seat as the sound of unexpected rain battered across the windscreen. "It's going to be okay," Isabella promised. "I'll make sure of it." I wanted to say something in return, but for some reason I couldn't find the will to speak. I felt like I was leaving my entire life behind and it hurt. A loud piercing howl rippled through the forest alongside the road. I felt my heart tug at the sound as I started to search around me almost desperately for the source behind the sound. At first, all I could see was an object moving with incredible speed. It was black and moving so quickly that it almost looked like a shadow against the trees. But then for a quick second, the silver moonlight between the trees touched it, revealing thick black fur. A wolf! I gasped at the sight. The wolf was beautiful, so beautiful that I couldn't look away. I watched in horror as other wolves caught up to him and prevented him from going any further. I winced at the sound of another piercing howl. I wanted to protect the beast, I wanted so badly to take the pain away. I wiped at the tears as a sudden realization dawned on me. Somehow I knew, I just knew. The wolf was James. James, I don't want to hear it. I roared as I flipped another table over. I just want to get to Eden. You cannot go to the council now. Austin shouted. You know the dangers, you know what happened to Eden just recently. Let's get the girl for the Blackners and get them on our side. Once that is confirmed, we will have all that we'll need for a fair fight. I knew that he was right. Despite all the anger and hurt building inside of me, I'd already learned from my past mistakes. Eden's safety was still my first priority. Where do you propose we start first? I asked. It's not every day you see a lone hybrid just walking around. I don't think we have all day to sit around here and wonder where we will find her, we need to move now. The village is close and many people will be present there. I say we should start there, he said as he grabbed a file. I was going to find that girl if it was the last thing I did. She was the key to me saving Eden and I wasn't going to let that opportunity slip away. Oh Eden! My sweet mate! I'm coming for you! James, we've been searching everywhere. I growled. If we keep taking this long to find someone, we will never get to Eden in time. Eden's words were still scars in my heart. Hearing her say those things to me was one of the most painful things that have ever happened to me in my life. And I've been through a lot of painful experiences in the past. I knew that I made wrong decisions, but not once did I ever do it without thinking about her first. Each step that I took, I did it because I thought it was the right thing for her. She was everything to me and all I wanted was to have her in my arms, but I didn't want to lose her while trying to make that happen. I knew what I felt and I knew that she couldn't possibly be thinking of a life without me in it. We were mates. We were lost without each other. Even if Eden was willing to give up on us because of our situation, I wasn't about to. She was my woman and I wasn't about to let another man take her from me. It's not every day that you see a hybrid woman without a pack. Austin pointed out as he turned to look at me. He gave me a knowing look, he'd been through this already. He must have known how desperate and hopeless I was feeling right now. I still think we're looking in the wrong place, Lucas said as he took a bite out of an apple. What was even the right place to look? We've been searching through the village for over 3 hours now and there was no sign of a woman with both vampire and werewolf blood in her veins. Why did Gideon even ask for a woman that was half vampire? I would have expected someone like him to want someone pure and strictly werewolf. Power was everything to him, however, maybe he thought that his grandchild may be stronger that way. Where do you suggest we look? Austin asked. If she's a hybrid who doesn't have a pack, I'll assume she'll want to live deep in the woods. Away from everyone. Like a rogue. Just less insane. Lucas answered. He did have a point. Maybe that was why we weren't getting any luck in finding someone. We already searched the entire village with no luck. I say we check the woods like you said. I agreed. There wasn't really anywhere else that we could go looking. Look who it is, Lucas said suddenly. I followed his gaze and stiffened at who I saw. Archer Blackner. Why was he still around? Easy there, boys, he said as he held up his hands. I'm not here to cause any trouble. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You're looking for a hybrid woman. Austin and I glanced at each other. Did he really not know, or was he just playing dumb to hear what we had to say? If that's the case, I'm guessing my father is still trying to find a woman to have my brother's baby. How do you not know that he hired us to find her? I demanded suspiciously. I still didn't trust him. I told you my father threw me out, didn't I? He did. But none of us believed that. His eyes studied me closely. You seem on edge. Where's Eden? My entire body tensed at his question. For one, I didn't want a reminder that Eden wasn't here with me. Then there was also the fact that I hated the way he said her name. It's the reason why we're working with your father. Eden is tied to the council, and because of it she's being forced to marry Hunter. We need your father's help to take both the council and Hunter down. Lucas answered as he gained an angry look from me. I didn't want Archer knowing all of this. I'm sorry, are you trying to tell me that the council is forcing that innocent girl to marry such a beast? He demanded. I didn't like how worked up he got about this. I know where you can find the hybrid woman you're looking for. I narrowed my eyes. You do? He nodded. My father asked the same thing of me. I purposely kept her location hidden because I didn't want to do it to the poor girl. She looked like her life was already hard enough. Plus, I didn't want to put my brother through that either. He doesn't know that father is searching for a woman to have his baby. I tried to hold everything off for as long as I could. I knew it was only a matter of time before he sent other people to do the job instead. So where exactly can we find her? Lucas asked. She's deep in the woods. Not as far in as my home is located though. Looks like you were right, Lucas. Austin praised him. Tell us all we need to know. I insisted, suddenly impatient. We don't have plenty time left. Her name is Gabriella Sawyer. Gabriella Sawyer. What do we know about her? Austin asked, taking a step closer to Archer. Well, she doesn't have a pack like father wanted. I have no idea who are her parents, but she definitely is a hybrid. He said. She's always in the woods, barely steps into any area that's too crowded. She's strong. But she's also a thief. I quirked a brow. A thief? I wasn't expecting that. Ever heard of Robin Hood? He asked. She's a modern-day Robin Hood. She steals from the rich and gives to other werewolves without a pack. Well, I have to say, it's not what Gideon will be expecting. Lucas said with a grin. But she does fit his criteria well, and she's the only one we got. Austin nodded. She's the only one we have. Do you have any papers as proof of her existence? Even a picture maybe? It isn't that easy. If you want my father's help, you'll need all the proof you can gather. You'll need to carry a video to prove that you did find the girl. What are you suggesting we do? I'll take you to her. You'll have to walk with plenty of cash. That way we would lure her out. Remember, we're not doing the kidnapping. All we need is a video proof. When father sees how well she fights as well as the fangs in her mouth, he will surely accept her. Which is what you need for him to help you. He never goes back on his word, so you don't have that to worry about. I turned to my brothers and they both nodded for me to agree. It wasn't like we had a lot of options left. All right, lead the way, Blackner. We followed his directions. He was definitely right. Wherever we were going, it was deep in the forest. We have to be careful from here onwards. Archer informed us. She could be anywhere. We decided that Lucas and I would go alone when we neared the area she did most of her stealing in. She would find it safer to attack just the both of us rather than all four. I kept the tiny camera hidden in my shirt with a small hole for everything to be seen. You sure he's telling the truth? Lucas asked as we continued to walk further into the woods. The pungent scent of the forest filled my nostrils, preventing me from picking up the scent of anyone strange around us. I was thinking the same thing as Lucas, however. What if this was all an ambush and we were falling straight into a Blackner's trap? I don't know, but this is the best lead we have. He nodded and pulled out some of the money from his pocket. I'm sure glad Dad gave us all of this money to do with as we please. He was playing along with our plan. We needed her to know that we had plenty cash on us. She wouldn't attack us unless she knew that she would profit from it. My eyes widened as a girl with shiny black hair and torn clothing came into our view while swinging on a vine. Lucas, look! Oh, you! Her feet connected with my brother's chest before I could finish my sentence. Her long hair was flowing all around her as she landed gracefully on her 2 feet like she'd done this a dozen times before. Give me the money and no one gets hurt. I quirked a brow as Lucas lifted himself off the ground and grinned at her. Nice kick. For a girl. Her eyes narrowed and she bared her fangs at him. I held my breath. She was definitely our little hybrid thief. That was all of the proof we needed. Now we needed to get out of here without harming the girl. James, I scowled as Archer doubled over in laughter as soon as his eyes fell on us. What happened to the both of you? He asked as he pointed to our state. At least somebody found this hilarious. I never thought I'd live to see the day that a girl kicked me. We couldn't fight back. Lucas answered. Unlike me, even he seemed to be amused by all of this. But he was Lucas after all. He found everything amusing. The woman could fight, I'll give her that. We didn't fight back in fear of hurting her, but still her skills were amazing. She acted like someone who'd been doing that for years. If I hadn't been concerned with hiding the camera, I would have been a lot more impressed with how she handled us. She took your shirts? Austin asked, confused. I followed his gaze. Our chests were completely bare. I had no idea why she did such a thing. What good would our clothes do her? I forgot to mention that to you men. Archer confessed with a mischievous glint in his eyes. I'd seen her do that to other men before, since she also gifted clothing to the werewolves without packs. I narrowed my eyes at him. He purposely let that happen. He hadn't forgotten to mention it. He wanted to see this happen. He was indeed a Blackner after all. At least she let y'all keep your pants, he added when he spotted out scowls. Wait, did you get the camera before she took it? Austin demanded. I nodded and pulled it out from my pants. It's right here, she didn't suspect anything. I must say, even though we didn't fight back, the girl could definitely fight. Lucas admitted. He was clearly thinking the same thing that I was. I had hoped that even though the Blackners were about to kidnap her, she will still fight them back with everything in her. I had a feeling she was about to give Arthur a very hard time. As soon as I got Eden out from the council, I knew what had to be done. We couldn't let that girl suffer because of us, we had to somehow help her get out. But that was another problem that I couldn't get into now. We had to take it one step at a time. Well boys, Archer said. That's it for me. Unfortunately, I won't be able to join you in your journey to meet my father. That's all on you. I nodded, even though I didn't fancy him, I still appreciated his help. Thank you. He grinned. You might want to get yourselves some shirts before you see my father. See you men around and good luck with Eden. I needed all the luck that I could get. This war was about to be the greatest challenge that my family and I have ever faced. I can't believe we're doing this again. Lucas groaned as the drone flew over us just like before and scanned our bodies. Back already? We looked up to see the Blackner brothers staring down at us. Arthur as usual didn't look happy to see us, but all of the other brothers, they seemed amused. The looks on their faces said that they didn't expect to see us back here so soon, or ever. Well, what are you waiting for? Arthur asked. Climb up, father is expecting you. He was already expecting us? We hadn't given them any heads up, how could he be expecting us? The walk to Gideon's room was pretty much the same as before. We found him near the glass windows looking out at the view. He turned to us and smiled with a knowing look on his face. Welcome back. I nodded along with my brothers. Boys, leave us alone. He told his sons, who reluctantly left the room. What do you have for me? He asked as soon as they exited. It was clear as day that he didn't want Archer to hear our conversation. Which meant he hadn't told his son of his plans as yet. I wished to be there when he broke the news to him, that would be an interesting day. I dropped all of the pictures and papers Archer had given to us onto the desk. Her name is Gabriella Sawyer and she has all of the qualities that you asked for. He took one look at the picture and then back at us. Are you positive she has everything? He asked before taking a closer look at her picture. She looks like a soft woman, one who would break easily under pressure. I nodded. She was most definitely not soft in any way from what Lucas and I witnessed earlier on today. I'm sure he'll prove beneficial to you. He quirked a brow, not looking convinced at all. No pack. No pack. Austin answered. And she has both werewolf and vampire blood in her veins. Yes. We made sure of it. How can I be sure that you're telling the truth? I took the camera out of my pocket and handed it to him. We met her today, here's a video of our meeting. I think you'll find it very interesting. He took it from me and played the video. For someone that often hid his emotions behind a fake smile, he looked pleasantly surprised by what he saw. In fact, he looked like he didn't believe that the video could possibly be real. Did she really do this all on her own? The video is there as proof. I answered. If you don't believe us, you can obviously check her out yourself. I assure you, you will be impressed. All right, Good. I believe you, he said as took a seat on the white chair and leaned back. Let's get down to business then. I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. I was one step closer to getting to Eden. I'll send my boys with you today, he continued when I said nothing. Austin and I gave each other confused looks. How did he know we already needed them? What? He asked after looking at our shocked expressions. You didn't think that I would just send my people without doing any research? After you came here I had my men keep a watch on everything. They informed me of what happened with your mate. I already knew you would be here soon. People were keeping tracking of us and we had no idea. Remember the next end of the deal? He reminded us suddenly. Right after we help you get out of the situation with the Council and Hunter, which believe me, we will. I expect Lucas back here to discuss the details of the wedding. I stiffened at his reminder. It was the last thing I needed to hear from Gideon. I stole a glance at Lucas and immediately felt the guilt I'd been feeling return at the look on his face. My brother was giving up his happiness for my own. I wasn't happy about it and I sure as hell would never let him go through with it. Eden, I stared at myself in the mirror. The wedding dress was old-fashioned, just the way the council wanted it to be. I looked like a princess being forced into an arranged marriage. Everything was pretty much the same, just, I wasn't exactly a princess. Instead, I was a woman that didn't understand why she had to be in a situation where she had to leave the man that she loved for someone that scared out of her, all just to make sure that he was kept safe and away from any danger. I loved James. I loved James even without the memories of my past. The new memories was enough to make me fall in love with him. I shouldn't have to choose. I should be able to be with James without worrying about anything bad happening to him. It was the day of the wedding and I felt like I was making the worst decision of my entire life. I couldn't stop thinking about James and what I felt for him. Leaving him behind was so difficult for me. Then being rushed to the council without knowing exactly who they were wasn't exactly a walk in the park either. The council was brutal. I hated it here. Everything was so much more peaceful with James and his family. They were living a much better life than the people here were. The council was dark, it felt cold here and not in a good way. What made all of this worse was the fact that I still had absolutely no idea of my past life. I tried my best to remember any little detail. Even my parents tried their best to show me multiple pictures in hopes of me remembering. My brothers along with Isabella told me multiple stories and still no help. Everything was hopeless and I was beginning to think that I would never remember my past. All of my memories with James, the little that I had, all of it flashed before my mind as I tried to gain the strength to continue with this wedding. The memory of when I first saw him and immediately felt a connection to the memory of his touch, his kiss. I never wanted to forget it. James made me feel things that I was positive no other man would ever make me feel. Everything about him was special and unique, even down to the way he looked at me. I wiped the tears away at the reminder of it all. Sighing, I picked myself off the bed and walked over to the table in front of me where there was a clean napkin waiting for me to use. I had to fight these thoughts and feelings. I did all of this for him and the people that I cared about, I couldn't turn back now. I paused, something on the wall catching my attention. There seemed to be some sort of painting hidden behind of the wardrobe. I quickly pushed the furniture aside and returned my attention to the painting. I held my breath at what I saw. James. It was a painting of James. One by one images flashed across my mind like a trigger in my head. I cried out and held my head as though it was about to explode with all of the memories rushing in all at once. I fell back against the bed as I felt everything around of me begin to spin. My eyes were wide with horror as everything I'd been missing crashed all over the place. From the memory of James chained to the ground and roaring to get to me, to the memory of the day of my engagement to Hunter. Oh God! No! What had I done? I held a hand over my mouth to cover a scream of agony. What did I do? James! Oh God! James! James! My mate! Now I understood why he did what he did. He was only trying to protect me, and even though it wasn't the best way he could have done it, I understood that he wasn't trying to intentionally hurt me. He pretended to be with Clara just so that I wouldn't cause any more trouble for us after losing my memories. No. What did I say to him? What was wrong with me? I couldn't do this anymore. Now that I remembered everything, I couldn't let this wedding happen. I knew James, he wasn't about to let me go. This meant that he would come for me, and if he did, things would blow up in all of our faces. I needed to run. We both needed to run. Somehow or the other I had to find a way to get out of this mess. I had to get to the man of my dreams. I had to make sure that I didn't lose him. I jumped as I heard a knock on the door. Eden. I felt relief wash over me at the sound of my beloved sister's voice. If there was anyone that I wanted to see right now, it was definitely her. No one else would help me escape. My parents would think that it's too risky, and so would my brothers. They were always very protective of me, and they would never allow me to do something like this while they were alive. I pushed the wardrobe out of the way and pulled her into my room. Her eyes were wide with worry as they settled on my face. What's wrong? Did something happen? She demanded while looking around for something that could possibly be wrong. I remember everything. Her lips parted and her entire body became completely still. I watched as tears formed in her eyes at my words. She pulled me into her arms and held on tightly. Oh, thank God! I was scared that you'd never remember us. I returned her hug. I did too, I really did, but I'm so happy that I remember you. I remember it all. I remember everything we've been through together since we were young. I'm so grateful to have a sister as amazing as you. She leaned back and smiled. I'm the lucky one. Believe me, I am. I need to ask you something. I told her. And I need you to be honest with me. I didn't have any time to waste. It was almost time for the wedding and I couldn't be here when everything started. Of course. She answered immediately. Ask me anything. Do you have feelings for Hunter? Her eyes widened and she looked taken aback by my question. Why would you ask such a thing? She suddenly looked nervous, and this was the most anxious I ever remembered seeing my sister. That meant that she was definitely keeping something from me. I should have been able to see it. After all, we knew each other better than anyone else did. But I was always so busy caught up with James and the council that I missed all of the signs until now. Just answer me, please. I need this answer before I do what I must. We never hid anything from each other before. I didn't know when that had changed between us. I don't know," she whispered. "I feel something towards him but I can't explain what it is. I know that we can't be mates since he would have fought for me already, and then there's also the fact that his last mate was killed. There are so many negative factors preventing me from knowing exactly what I should feel." "But you do feel something when you're around him?" I asked once more, still not receiving a clear answer. She was hesitant at first but eventually nodded. So I hadn't been seeing things. All along Hunter must have at least felt something for Isabella. I don't know what it was, but for my sister to feel it as well, there must be something there. "All right," I finally said. Now I didn't feel as bad as I felt before about what I was about to do. "I'm not staying here, Isabella. I must see James. I know him, he will come and he will start a war. I need to prevent that. I must talk to him. I can't marry Hunter. I can't do it to myself, and I definitely can't do that to James. All along he's been fighting for us and I haven't been doing the same. I need to do my part now. I couldn't go through with this wedding. I just couldn't. At least now I knew if I left when Isabella knew the truth, Hunter would not let anything bad happen to her. I saw how protective he got when she was concerned. He wouldn't let the council do anything to her, I was sure of it. That was the only thing that kept me going. "What are you doing?" Isabella demanded as I ripped the wedding dress. I couldn't run with this thing. I needed to make it less bulky and a lot shorter than it was. "I'm leaving. I need you to provide a distraction for me and cover for me at the wedding. Let them think that I'm getting dressed. I just need enough time to get a good distance away." Isabella didn't question me, nor did she try to stop me. I was right. I knew that she would support me in whatever decision I made. She always did. Now it was just to get away from all of this. "James," we were all positioned a little distance away from the council. Far enough that they wouldn't be able to sense us, but close enough that we would be able to barge into the wedding in time. I pinched the bridge of my nose and tried to calm my angry wolf. He had been restless since last night. We both knew that the time was coming close. Just the thought of Eden being married to someone that wasn't me was enough to send me borderline insane. I've always dreamt of the day I would mark my mate and have a reason to live for. Today, I would make that dream happen. I would mark Eden in front of the council if I had to. I would show them all not to come between Eden and I ever again. I'll show them never to separate two mates ever again. They will always lose the fight. "We did well," Austin said to both Lucas and I. I followed his gaze and was proud to see what we'd accomplished. There was so many on our side that it looked like an entire army ready to fight for what was right. Austin's pack combined with mine alone was a sight to see. It always has been. Then the Blackners along with their people was just as big as our packs combined. And that wasn't even half of their soldiers. But that wasn't all. In the end, a lot of other packs chose to stand with us after everything we've done for them in the past. The council didn't know what was coming to them, neither did Hunter. "James," Lucas said suddenly as he stood up straighter. "You might want to have a look at this." I followed his gaze and held my breath. Running to us with incredible speed was Eden Cross. My mate. Her body was adorned with a wedding dress that had been torn in the worst way possible, but somehow she still looked extremely breathtaking. After I recovered from my shock of seeing her again, I pushed past some of the men blocking my way and ran towards her. I only stopped when we were a few feet away from each other. I wasn't sure what to expect. Why was she out here? And why was she alone? Did something happen at the council? Before I had a chance to answer any of those questions, she threw herself into my arms and wrapped her own arms around my neck as she held on tightly. "I love you," she cried. "I love you so much, James." I stood completely still, not sure what was happening. Was this a dream? Did the love of my life really just confess her love for me? If this was a dream, I never wanted to wake up from it. I gently pulled away from her and gazed down lovingly at her. "Eden," I whispered. "I don't understand. This doesn't feel real." "I remember everything, James," she confessed. "I remember everything we've been through. I remember my family. I remember yours. I remember the council and Hunter. I remember how much I loved you and still do. I don't ever want to lose you. I'm willing to fight for us now. I'm so sorry for how I've acted in the past, so sorry for not fighting for us, and even sorrier for everything I've said to you before." Before she could say anything else, I covered her lips with mine. I tasted her tears as I passionately kissed her. I felt my body come alive at the feel of her beneath my arms. "You don't have to apologize. You did the right thing," I assured her after breaking the kiss. I cupped her cheeks in my hands and stared deeply into her eyes. "I love you, Eden Cross. I loved you from the first second I saw you, and I will love you till the day I die." "Isabella," I was nervous. Eden was gone and I was the only person that knew this. When word got out, I wasn't sure what was going to take place. I had to stall everything for as long as I could. This meant that I needed to lie to everyone until I was sure she had gotten a good head start. I took a deep breath before walking into the ballroom, reminding myself that my sister's life depended on me right now. I couldn't let my fear prevent me from protecting someone that meant so much to me. Eden and I were inseparable, and I would gladly give my life for her without a second thought. I was still extremely flushed by her earlier question. I hadn't expected Eden to ask me how I felt about Hunter. In truth, even I wasn't sure how I felt. For one, he was the same man that was bringing a lot of problems into my family's life. He was cold and heartless, and from what I've seen so far, a cold-blooded killer. But there was something else in him. He was damaged and confused, like a loyal dog that had just lost his owner and was trying to recover from the pain by masking it with anger. What was even more absurd was that I was the only one that seemed to see this side of him. Everyone else only saw the cold, emotionless beast. Then there was the fact that I often got jealous whenever I saw Hunter around my sister. Don't get me wrong, I would never wish badly on her and I only wanted her happiness. But when it came to Hunter, my emotions were all over the place. I didn't want to feel that way, but it wasn't something that I could control. I'd managed to keep that part a secret from Eden. I didn't know how she would feel if I confessed something like that to her. I also knew that there was absolutely no one I could tell that to. They would think that I was completely losing it. I felt a sudden shiver straight throughout my body and knew that Hunter was close. I slowly spun around and saw him looking at me. Our gazes locked and I immediately felt a weakness in my stomach that traveled all the way between my legs. I had to stifle a groan and remind myself that we were in public. He examined my face as though he was memorizing every little detail about me. I felt my face turn red. His eyes were so beautiful and completely pulled me in. I hated this feeling. I didn't want to feel like this for him. He was destroying my family and yet I was here growing all hot and bothered for him. I held my breath as he walked past me without speaking a single word to me. I knew what his hands on my body felt like and I desperately wanted to feel it again. This was crazy. He in no way touched me inappropriately once before. The first time was when he picked me up from a chair and the other was when he stopped me from hitting his chest. I had no idea why those two small touches made me feel anything other than hate towards him. His scent suddenly hit me hard and I had to fight to catch my breath. These feelings didn't seem normal to me. How could I feel like this for someone like him? I was miserably embarrassed. My body kept betraying me and I had no idea how to fix it. At least now I didn't have to stand here and watch him marry my sister. He didn't know that, however, no one else but I did. But it brought me peace to know it. Isabella. The prosecutor called out to me. Where on earth is Eden and why isn't she down here as yet? I tried not to tremble under his dark and lethal gaze. She's still getting dressed, prosecutor. She will be out in about 10 minutes. His eyes narrowed. She better be or your entire family is about to witness my wrath. He threatened. Oh God! This was about to be a nightmare. Eden, we can't stay here. I told James, looking around me frantically. We must go now. When they find out that I'm missing, they will come for me. I felt my body begin to tremble as I thought about what they would do to us. I couldn't let anything happen to James. We needed to get as far away from the council as possible. Hunter would be behind us as well. He hated being double-crossed. There was no way that he would just let this slide easily. To my surprise, James didn't look like someone who was about to run. He had this determined look on his face, one that said he was ready for a war. I hoped that I didn't read him correctly. My entire family was back there in the council. Whether they liked it or not, they would have to take the council's side. Their lives depended on it. If James came here with the intention of war, I may lose the people that I cared about. Do not worry, James assured me. Look around, we have people by our side. You are safe, Eden, he said, confirming my earlier suspicions. I followed his gaze and focused on the group of werewolves ready for war. They all had determined looks on their faces just like he did. These people were clearly here without fear for their own lives. They were here to show their support to James and his family. But this wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want a war. The council had innocent people that would get involved in this battle, innocent people that didn't end with my family. I didn't want anything to happen to them during this fight. No, I insisted. My entire family is back there, James. They are part of the council and will be forced to stay on their side. I don't want to see them get hurt because of me. Let's just leave, please. I do not want a fight. James looked unsure by my request. I could see the conflicted look on his face and I couldn't blame him. He understood that if we didn't fight now, it would only be a matter of time before the actual fight happens. We would always be on the run from the council, but I was okay with that if it meant that my family and all of the other innocent lives would be saved. I didn't want the death of so many people on my hands. Do you know of anywhere that we can stay hidden? James asked Austin after studying me. He must have realized that I would not accept this if it meant danger to my family. Clearly we can't go back home, that's the first place that they would look for us. Austin shook his head. They know everything, they know where we live, where our pack houses are. They would even search our entire kingdom if they have to. Anywhere that I think about, they would look for you. There was complete silence at Austin's words, everyone wondering what the next step should be. We have a place. A man I hadn't seen before eventually cut in. We can keep you both there safely, that is if you want to stay there. Who are they? I asked James anxiously. There were a lot of faces that I wasn't familiar with here. However, there were a few men that stood out more than the others and for some reason they intimidated me. There was a strong force about them. Each of them looked like they'd been trained for fighting like some sort of robots. No one should look this calm and unbothered before a huge war. They were all looking at me now and I found it hard to concentrate on my own thoughts when I had their full attention. I thought only Hunter had the ability to make someone extremely uncomfortable, but they also possessed the quality. This brought me to believe that they were just as dangerous as he was. Who exactly were they? They all had this similarity about them and I had to wonder whether or not they were brothers. James followed my gaze and seemed hesitant at first to answer my question. These are the Blackners, they're here to help us fight the battle. If there will be any. I held in the gasp that threatened to escape my mouth. Fear all but spiked all over me and I took a step closer to James without even realizing it. The Blackners? I'd heard stories about that family. Their reputation wasn't exactly a good one. Not that the council had a good reputation either. But they were definitely bad, no one messed with them. Their technology was greater than anyone could ever imagine and it W as their strong point, despite the fact that they fought like killing machines. I wasn't sure why James was here with these men. As far as I knew, the Blackners kept to themselves. But here they were offering their help to us? Something wasn't right. What did James and his family give up to get them on our side? I remembered faintly a conversation that they were all having when James had returned from a trip. I didn't remember him then and Lucy had mentioned something. She'd said that Lucas had to suffer because of these people. Did he give up something to gain their help? I didn't want that to be true. I hated involving people in our fights, it was unfair to them. No one should have to give up anything for my happiness. I think we should take Arthur's offer. Lucas said. We don't have any other options right now. Austin took a step closer to us. Lucas is right. If Eden doesn't want to put her family in danger, this is the best option that we have. I also think this is better for Lucy. It's her family in there as well, she's already stressed out about this whole thing and I'm afraid what that could to our baby. James nodded and pulled me closer into his embrace. Let's go. I looked behind me for a minute, staring off into the distance. I was leaving behind the people that I cared about to start a life with my mate. I didn't want to do it, but I also knew that I couldn't live without James. This was the most difficult decision I ever had to make and I hoped that I was making the right one. Isabella, my hands were shaking as everyone started to turn and whisper amongst themselves. The crowd had been waiting 15 minutes longer than I'd originally told them all that Eden would be down here for. The prosecutor had sent someone to go get her 5 minutes ago and everyone was waiting for my sister to enter the ballroom with her wedding dress. I tried to stay calm under the prosecutor's penetrating gaze. By now I was sure that he knew that I was hiding something from everyone. He'd been around Eden and I long enough to know just how inseparable we were and how we acted whenever something was wrong. My parents and brothers were frantic as they themselves started to search everywhere for my sister. No one asked me anything yet and I was grateful for that. I didn't know how long I could keep up these lies. But hopefully it would be long enough for Eden to escape from here and be with the man that she was meant to be with. I saw my sister lose her memory. I saw her struggle to come to terms with the fact that she could never be with her mate. I saw her suffer enough and I was not willing to see any more of that. Who exactly were they? They all had this similarity about them and I had to wonder whether or not they were brothers. This was my chance to repay her for everything she's done for me. She was a great sister and I wanted to be one to her in return. My gaze traveled to Hunter and I gasped as I found him looking at me. His penetrating gaze as always made me completely glued to the spot. There was no doubt that he knew that I had something to do with her disappearance. I expected him to come to me and demand an answer from me right away, but none of that happened. Instead he just stood there looking at me like he wanted to devour me whole. I shivered as my entire body grew hot all over. I didn't understand this. How could one man have such an effect on me? I forced my gaze away as the servant came running back to us. I can't find Eden anywhere. I've searched everywhere for her. I searched her room, even all of the rooms that she could be in. I searched the gardens, around it. I asked everyone and no one has seen her either. She's gone. What? The prosecutor roared. I jumped at his tone. This was the most angry I'd ever seen him. Usually, he would have his emotions under control. But this time he was extremely pissed. One of you, he said as his eyes went to my family. One of you knows where she is and you aren't telling me. He walked over to us and examined our expressions one by one. I felt my heart begin to race as he stopped in front of me. His eyes were dark and cold as he glared at me with a knowing look. Isabella. He said my name with haste. Do you know where Eden is? I immediately shook my head. No, prosecutor. He took a step closer. You were the last one that saw her. He reminded me. You informed me that she would be down here in 10 minutes. I nodded. I did. She was in the room with me when she told me that. I don't understand where she could be. She doesn't even remember any of us. I don't understand what could have happened. I lied. I could see that he didn't believe a word I'd just said. However, to my surprise he took a few steps back. Was he going to drop this so easily? I knew him, there was something else that he was planning to do. I watched as he called for one of the guards. Bring Isabella to the dungeons. She will be punished until she speaks the truth about Eden's whereabouts. I gasped and my eyes widened in horror as the guards started for me. My brothers immediately stepped in front of me, each of them preventing anyone from getting any closer to me. Something unexpected happened right then and everyone was speechless at the sight in front of us. Hunter was holding the guard by his neck, preventing him from taking another step in my direction. I watched in horror as the veins in his hands became more visible while he continued to choke the man. She said that she doesn't know where her sister is. He said flatly. If she doesn't know. She doesn't. We're wasting time here. If we want to find Eden, we must move now. The prosecutor lifted a brow at his actions. All right. Let the guard go and lead the way. Hunter seemed reluctant to do as he was told and with narrowed eyes finally dropped him onto the ground. Why did he do it? Why did it seem like he was trying to protect me? I couldn't think about that now. I had Eden to worry about. I had to hope that she'd somehow gotten far by now. Eden, no one should be able to find you here. Arthur informed us. The only ones that know about this safe house is my family. I still found it difficult to be calm around the Blackners when they moved the way that they did, but I was grateful that they were helping us. I trusted James. He wouldn't be here with them unless he was positive that they would protect us. James nodded. Thank you. My mate exchanged a look of gratitude, and if I was correct, it seemed as though they were a lot friendlier with each other now. I watched as Arthur quietly shut the door behind him and left James and I alone in the house. He turned to me and stared at me as though he didn't believe that I was standing here in front of him. I wanted to run into his arms and hold him close. All of this felt so unreal to me. Being able to be near James like this was a dream of mine. I thought that this day would never come, but here he was standing in front of me. The fact that we may actually have a chance together was so much more than I ever hoped for. Eden, he whispered as he knelt before me. I know what I did in the past was wrong. I'm sorry for hurting you in your most vulnerable state. Believe me, that was never my intention. I smiled and knelt down on the ground next to him. You don't have to apologize for anything. We've both been through a lot, James. I think it's time that we put it all behind us and focus on building our lives together. His eyes lowered to the mark on my neck. You have no idea how hard it is to look at this, Eden. He growled. I want my mark there, where it should be. I gasped. His words mixed with his spicy, masculine scent was enough to awaken deep desires within me. I could hear my breathing grow louder as I tried to focus on his words rather than get lost with my own desperate need for him. I placed my hand over the marking and gently stroked it. The council did it deliberately. Even I never liked it. I always wondered what would happen when I saw my mate and how he would feel about it. Now I knew exactly what he did and I couldn't blame him. Even up to this day, I couldn't believe that James was truly my mate and that he wanted me as much as he did. Despite the disgusting people that I belonged to, he never showed fear. He always fought for me, since the very beginning. And the one time that he decided to stop, it was only because he wanted to protect me. I was blessed with a good mate. I'd known people in the council before, women who had mates and were still forced to marry who the council chose for them. And their mates chose to let them go when they found out about the council. No one was brave enough to fight back, they all gave up when it got too hard. But James was brave and proved how good of a mate he really was. I lifted myself from the ground and positioned my body on top of his lap. His eyes widened. Eden, what are you doing? I didn't wait for him to finish. I leaned into him and covered his lips with mine. I kissed him softly at first, enjoying the taste of the man I loved and wanted to spend the rest of my life with. His body stiffened for a few seconds until his hands gripped my waist. I couldn't stop myself. I'd never been needy as I was now. I needed him like I needed air to breathe. "Mark me," I whispered. "Please mark me." I didn't know why I said it, all I knew was that I needed to get as close to James as possible. I felt like I would combust into flames if he didn't claim me soon. I watched as his eyes went from calm to shock and then straight to raw need and hunger. I felt myself grow wet between the legs with just the look on his face alone. I was swollen there and wanted to be touched by him so badly that it hurt. His nostrils flared as my aroused scent hit the air, and before I had a chance to figure out his next move, he placed one hand behind my head and pulled my feet down until I was lying flat on the wooden floor. My eyes widened, and for some reason it only made my body more needy for him. Both of us were breathing hard, neither one of us speaking. Our bodies said everything our mouths wanted to. I gasped as his lips left a trail of kisses. "I've been dreaming of doing this since the last time Eden." "James, please," I begged. "I need more, give me more." He growled and tore the wedding dress until it was left as shreds next to my body. I laid on the ground before him, and to my surprise, I felt completely at peace, like this is where I belonged. I expected to be shy, but instead I ached to be touched by him, especially when he was looking at me the way that he did now. James stared at me like he wanted to worship the ground I walked on. He stared as though I was the only woman he'd ever seen on earth. I tried not to squirm under his gaze. My body was begging for more of his touch, and it was hard to keep my calm. He growled, "You're so perfect, sweetheart. I can't wait to be with you." I heard myself whimper when he stopped. "James not here," he growled as he picked me up from the ground. He carried me over to the room and laid me down gently on the bed. "Are you ready?" he asked with hungry eyes. I nodded. "I've been ready since the first day I met you." I watched as he threw his shirt and pants all across the room. I gasped as his hard member sprung free, clouding my vision. He leaned down and placed a kiss on my forehead before positioning his body above mine. "From today onwards, no matter where we are, no matter what we're facing, I'll never leave you and I'll never let you go," he whispered. "You're mine, Eden Cross, you've always been." He lowered himself and bit down into my neck. I cried out at the feel of his teeth on my neck, combined with the feeling of him now deep inside of me. My eyes rolled back into my head as he pulled out and pushed back in harder than before, while at the same time digging deeper into my skin. I felt my body begin to shiver with all of the emotions entering it all at once. I could feel our bodies joining in every way possible. I didn't think it was possible to be this close to someone. I buried my hands in his hair and pulled on it as he continued to mark me. I felt his body begin to shiver against mine, and I loved the feeling of it. "James!" I cried out as I felt myself reach the edge. My body soaked up all of him, loving all of it. Finally. Oh yes! Finally I had what my body truly needed. It felt so good to be loved like this. I could feel all of his emotions, all of the love he had for me, and it was a lot more than I expected. James's love was so pure and giving, I had to fight back tears at just the thought of it. I held onto his head as he buried his face against my neck. Neither one of us moved an inch, both of us trying to recover from the intensity of our joining. It was beyond words. "Hunter, they've deliberately disrespected me. I would not rest until I found James and made him suffer for embarrassing me on my wedding day." This girl says that she can help. One of my men informed me. What is your name? I asked the girl. My name is Clara and I'm a member of James's pack. I studied the girl closely. Why was she willingly coming to me? Could this be some sort of trap? What do you want? I asked her. I know where James and Eden are hidden. I quirked a brow. You do? She nodded. I'm willing to help you find them. Why should I trust you? I asked. Why would you betray your alpha? It didn't make sense to me. Unless the woman wanted something from me in return. I don't believe that Eden is fit to be our Luna, our alpha deserves more. He is blinded and will not see what I do. I understood clearly what this was now. The woman wanted James for herself. Then she was telling the truth. Looks like finding James and Eden would be less of a challenge than I originally thought. James Eden! I shouted, running back into the house. They've found us. You must go. You must go now. I'd went out for some pieces of wood and it was then that my wolf picked up on hundreds of people closing in on us. It was only a matter of time before they reached us. Her eyes widened in horror. I can't just leave you and run. She cried. You must. Please. I begged her. You are my everything, Eden. You know how deep my love runs for you. Go and get help. I will be safe until you get back, I promise you. She looked terrified and her entire body was shaking. And no. She stuttered. Go. I shouted. Tears were flowing down her cheeks as I forced her out the secret exit. I couldn't let her stay here. Once she was away and safe, I could focus on what to do next and how to save myself. Epilogue. James. There was an army outside. The entire council along with Hunter and his men stood right outside the doorway. There wasn't anywhere to run, not that I wanted to. Now that Eden was safe, I could relax despite the enemies in front of me. She was all that I was concerned about. Now that we were joined, my feelings for her were even more intense than before. So intense that I would kill for her without a second thought. So intense that I would go insane if anything ever happened to her while I was alive. I felt a calmness like no other at knowing that we loved each other and that she was safe from harm's way. Where is Eden? The prosecutor demanded. For once he didn't look as though he was on top of everything, his entire composure was tensed and he looked like someone who hadn't slept for days. Just the thought of that made me happy. He deserved every bit of it and so much more that I was more than willing to give to him. I chuckled. You're delusional if you think I'm going to tell you that. His eyes darkened a shade and he was definitely not pleased with my tone. Just like before, that only added to my joy. My eyes traveled to Hunter, who was studying me closely. Surprisingly, he didn't seem as worked up as the prosecutor, but then again he barely ever showed any emotion. I was sure that they all could see that Eden and I were already bonded. A bonded male was easy to spot. That would only fuel their anger towards us. Listen to me, Alpha James, the prosecutor said as he took a step closer. It's either you tell me or you die, right here. There's no one to help you today. You are completely alone and surrounded by all of us who want you dead. He was right. There was no one here to help me. I was surrounded by dangerous shifters and vampires, as well as witches. My pack as well as everyone that was supposed to help me were all scattered. I had no idea how long it would take for all of them to gather and reach here in time. Even if they came, how long would it take for the other packs as well as the Blackners to arrive as well? The odds weren't in my favor, not even a little bit. This could be my last few minutes alive. If that was the case, I didn't want to waste it. If I was going down, I was taking a good bit of the council down with me. The less of them present, the better off the entire world would be. I despised the prosecutor with everything in me. He was the reason for many of the sufferings happening around us. He was one of the main reasons why my mate had such a painful childhood and was still being given a hard time. I narrowed my eyes, my wolf ready to rip his throat apart. He was my main target. I'll like to see you try. I roared before throwing a hard punch to his face. I was satisfied as I saw him bounce back and hit the ground with a loud bang. It was probably the first time he'd taken such a direct hit in many years. I was happy to know that I was the one to give it to him. With another roar I shifted into my wolf and let out a mighty howl, letting my pack know that I was in trouble. Even if Eden didn't get to them in time, they would know that I needed their help. I just had to hope that they got her before I breathed my last breath. Without a second thought I lunged forward, ready to rip out his neck. However, I stopped midair as my wolf crashed into a hard invisible barrier around him. I growled. The witch Cassandra was using her spell to protect the fool. She wasn't just any witch, the woman was powerful, so powerful that she was one of the main members of the council. Before I could focus my anger on her, multiple wolves jumped onto my back trying to reach for my neck. I jumped for a tree and slammed the wolves on my back against it. I was satisfied with their yelps of pain. I was about to make a grab for them again when I felt an excruciating pain in my head. I stopped and howled in agony. The witch was playing with my mind again. I'd felt this before, in the fight against Alpha Eric. They'd used this same tactic on us. It was hard to focus on anything or anyone with the pain I was feeling. I tried to suck it up at the same exact time someone barreled into me. All I could feel was pain in all directions. This meant multiple wolves were on me at the same time. I felt something wet touch my body and it was only then did I realize that it was my own blood. The ground was red and the smell of my own blood touched my nose. I tried to fight back but with so many on me while also experiencing the pain in my head brought upon me by the witch, it was just too hard to. I felt my wolf grow weaker, in fact this was the most pain it had ever been under. I couldn't keep this up for long. I was losing the battle just like I was losing blood. I let out a cry as I felt canines dig into my neck. Let go of my brother! I heard my brother Austin roar. I tried to lift my head to see him but it was too difficult under all of the pain. I had to lay still and wait for my body to heal before I could go again. It shouldn't take that long. I couldn't stay down for long. My mate's scent was strong and I knew that she was also here. I needed to get up to protect her. Cassandra. Everyone turned their attention to Austin and his pack, joined with James's pack as well. My eyes finally fell on the person we were all looking for. Eden Cross. Her eyes widened when they settled on James lying on the ground and a terrified scream left her mouth as she rushed to his side and covered his body with her own, trying to shield him from everyone. You will pay for that! Austin roared angrily. You are all outnumbered. The prosecutor answered him, a smile growing on his face. Give Eden to us and we will let this all go. If you don't, you choose death. As you can see, your brother was ready to cross the bridge and go over to the other side. I don't think they're outnumbered. Who said that? I followed the sound of the newcomer and was shocked at what I saw next. Wasn't that the inhumane black nurse? Hunter finished for me. What were they doing here? Is that really fair? Arthur Blackner asked. All of you against one alpha. I mean, have a bit more pride, would you? I see you've brought guests with you. The prosecutor shouted. If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you will get. At his words, everyone shifted into their wolves and attacked each other at the same time. I watched the war between the multiple groups. I think it was a surprise to all of us to find that the Blackners out of everyone were on the side of James and his family. We didn't prepare for them. The fight was now even and both sides could suffer heavy losses. At the end of this battle, many would be without their loved ones. I was okay with this. There wasn't much I was concerned about in this fight. Austin's family as well as Eden's had way more to lose. Once the main council members survived, that was all that mattered. They called this fight amongst themselves. Eden betrayed us all when she chose her mate over her tie with us. We promised her death if she chose this direction, and that was exactly what she was about to get. We needed to teach everyone a lesson, so that no one else did something this stupid again. I kept the shield around the prosecutor like he asked of me. That was my main job here today. Protect the council members, especially him. I frowned as I felt someone trying to break into my barrier. That was impossible, no one should have that much strength to challenge me. My eyes searched the crowd, searching for the culprit. I paused, a chill traveling down my spine. The bright green eyes was hard to miss, I'd drowned in those eyes before. I wouldn't mistake it for anyone else. I felt my body begin to shake at the immediate recognition. No. That couldn't be. It couldn't be him. My son. No. He was part of that Alpha James pack. If I let this fight continue, I may lose my only son. I couldn't lose him. I'd let him go so that he could have a better life. I wouldn't let all of my sacrifices go to waste today. I needed to protect him. I pushed through the fighting crowd and found my way to the prosecutor. We need to talk. I shouted above all the roars and screams of pain. We're in the middle of a battle. Can't you see that? I had a vision. I insisted. He turned to me then and I shielded both of our bodies from any attack that may hit us. What did you see? If we continue with this fight, most of our council members will die. Including you. I watched his face as multiple emotions crossed it. I'd managed to get through to him, but all was not over until he called off his men. Stop them. He told me. Stop them now. I tried to hide my smile as I focused all of my energy on everyone around me. I let out a scream and all of them were flung into the air in all different directions. As all of the wolves as well as vampires tried to get on their feet again, we both turned to them. Stand down. The prosecutor ordered before they could try to attack each other again. We will no longer come between James and Eden. The fight is off. There were a lot of confused gazes sent in our direction, coupled with some angry glares from Hunter and his men. I had no idea how the prosecutor was going to clean up that mess, but he better move fast or we would lose Hunter. Eden, I couldn't believe this. They'd called off the war? I ran straight into James's arms and held on tightly with tears streaming down my face. He wrapped his arms around me and lifted me up into the air before burying his face against my neck. I lifted his face, cupping his cheeks in both hands. I smiled at him before kissing his forehead, his cheeks, his nose, and stopped right above his lips. I love you. I love you so much. I cried before kissing him softly. He laughed against my lips and held me even closer. I love you too, Eden, my sweet mate. I felt happiness flow through my body at being able to hold him so closely against me and so openly in front of everyone. We were finally able to be together. I couldn't hide my happiness and joy. I didn't think it was possible for James and I to ever be together. This was the biggest surprise and I was so grateful for our family and friends. James pulled away as both of his brothers pulled him into an embrace. We did it, brother, Austin said as Lucas grinned. I told you we could do it together, Lucas said. I could see the relief in their eyes at the outcome. They were both grateful that they still had their brother alive in front of them. We'd all almost lost James. I still remember the feeling of seeing him bleeding and close to unconsciousness on the ground. I never wanted to feel like that ever again. If I felt like that after seeing him so beaten, I have no idea what his family felt like. We were lucky to have him. It's scary to think of what could have happened if we had been even a minute later than we'd been. I shook that thought out of my head. We were all alive and that was all that mattered. Who informed the council of where you were? Arthur asked as he approached us. It wasn't us. You are under our protection and we make sure to keep our word. And no one else would have known about this except your own people. I felt James stiffen next to me. He was definitely thinking what we all were. It was definitely your own people, Hunter said with a smirk. A woman from your pack. What was her name? Oh yes, I remember now. Clara. Clara? I felt anger at his words. Everyone turned towards the she-wolf. Her body was shaking as she looked at James with terrified eyes. Clara. He said her name angrily. Is it true what he's saying? Alpha, she stammered. Is it true? James roared. Her eyes widened at his tone. I'm sorry. I knew I never liked that girl from the very beginning. You are hereby banished from my pack as well as our kingdom, he told her. If I ever see you again, you will wish you were dead. She looked around her for help from the rest of the pack but no one was willing to help her. She dropped her shoulders and left before he could threaten her again. Don't be so happy. The prosecutor interrupted our reunion. I called off this fight but there is much to discuss. All of you must follow me back to the council. A few changes will be made that everyone must be aware of. We all stiffened at the prosecutor's words, the tension back in the air. What was he planning on doing now? All of the council members were seated above us, each of them discussing the next move. The entire room was quiet as we all waited for what their next decision was. I tried to stay calm but it was hard knowing how heartless and manipulative these people could be. They strived on making everyone's lives miserable, so what could they possibly do to us now? James wrapped his arms around me as Austin did the same for Lucy. None of us wanted her here knowing that she was pregnant and the stress wasn't good for the baby, but she insisted on coming. My gaze went back to the members as they all stood. We didn't expect things to go in this direction. However, judging by everything we've been through these past few weeks, we're forced to make these harsh decisions. The prosecutor announced suddenly. His eyes turned in our direction as they focused on one person. Isabella Cross, you will replace your sister Eden and marry Hunter. I froze, and so did everyone else in the room with me. No, no, no. This couldn't be happening. Book 3, Alpha's Alternative Bride. This is the sequel of Book 2, Mate of the Forbidden Alpha, and Book 1 is The Luna in the Shadows. Blurb. He has an affair. My sister was promised to him as his wife, but I was given to him instead. He doesn't want me. I am not loved by him. So, I ask, why doesn't he just let me go? In the paranormal community, Hunter, the infamous and deadly Alpha, was widely dreaded. Everybody was aware of him and his cruel actions. He had utterly lost it after seeing his friend's death and lived a life solely dedicated to killing. He did all he could to make life easier because it was the only thing that prevented him from dwelling on his deceased buddy. However, he longed for a wife, someone who could be his companion, someone he knew he would never fall in love with because he never wanted to be vulnerable to anyone again. The reason he desired Eden Cross was that he had no affection for her. Instead, when he was given her sister Isabella Cross in her stead, everything changed. Hunter didn't want her because she brought back his feelings, and he despised every second of it. However, because the agreement had already been reached, he was bound by her. Now, he had to combat the overwhelming pull between them, as Hunter had no intention of ever falling in love with Isabella Cross. Full book is posted on our channel, so do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.